Ever feel like you're swimming upstream,
Hmm.
against all these like invisible rules?
Yeah, I hear that a lot. It's like we're all playing this game, but we never agreed to the rules, right?
Exactly. And that's what's so fascinating about this book, The Four Agreements.
Oh, yeah, Don Miguel Ruiz. Powerful stuff.
Really powerful. It's all about this ancient Toltec wisdom and how it can, help us break free from these limitations. And it's really cool. We're going to focus on how this ancient wisdom can still be relevant for success today, like in 2024.
Absolutely. It's all about getting back to the basics, right? And one of the core concepts Ruiz talks about is this idea of the domesticated human. He compares it to like how we train animals.
Oh, wow. How so?
Well, think about it. From the moment we're born, we're rewarded for good behavior, punished for bad. We're taught what to believe, how to act, what success should look like.
Hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. I've always struggled with people pleasing. Is that part of this, like, domestication thing?
Totally. It's like we internalize these rules and they become our personal book of law. They kind of dictate our whole lives.
Wow. A book of law. That's intense. So if we're all, like, domesticated to some extent, how do we break free?
That's where the four agreements come in. The first one, and probably the most crucial, is be impeccable with your word.
Ooh, I like that.
Ruiz really emphasizes the power of words. He calls them magic. They can create, but they can also, really destroy.
It's like that saying, words can never be taken back.
Exactly. And it's not just about being nice to others. It's about how we talk to ourselves, too. That inner critic, the one that's always putting us down, that's the kind of stuff Ruiz wants us to challenge.
Yeah, that negative self-talk can be brutal.
Yeah.
So if our words have this incredible power, how do we start using them for creating success?
It starts with awareness. Just notice your self-talk. Are you constantly putting yourself down? Once you're aware, you can start making different choices.
So, like, less I can't and more I will.
Exactly. And remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about striving for honesty and integrity in how we communicate, both with ourselves and others. It's a practice, not a finish line.
Speaking of things I need to practice, let's talk about agreement number 2. Don't take anything personally. Ugh, this one's hard for me. How can I not take it personally when someone's clearly trying to, like, hurt my feelings?
Yeah, I get that. It's definitely a challenge. But Ruiz makes this interesting point. He says that even when someone insults you directly, it's not really about you.
Wait, really?
Yeah, it's about them, their own beliefs, their own struggles. They're seeing the world through their own, like, messed up lens.
So you're saying even the meanest comments are more about the person saying them than the person they're directed at?
Exactly. Think about it. Have you ever been really stressed out and snapped at someone? Were you really mad at them, or were you just projecting your own stuff?
Oh, yeah, totally. I can think of a few times I've done that. But how does not taking things personally lead to success? Isn't it important to stand up for ourselves?
Oh, absolutely. Setting boundaries is crucial. But not taking things personally helps us respond instead of react. We can stay focused on our goals, even when people are being negative.
So it's more about managing our own reactions
Yeah.
than trying to, like, control what other people say or do.
You got it. By letting go of that need to defend ourselves all the time, we free up so much energy. Energy we can use to go after our passions and build those, really solid relationships. And that is a recipe for success, for sure.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this all connects.
Yeah.
So we've got be impeccable with your word and don't take anything personally. What's next on this ancient success journey?
Well, let's jump into agreement number 3. Don't make assumptions. This one's all about clear communication, and that's got to be key for success.
Wow. Definitely. But honestly, don't we all make assumptions sometimes? It's kind of human nature, isn't it?
It is, but the Toltec wisdom really encourages us to question those assumptions. Think about how often we assume we know what someone else is thinking or that they should just automatically know what we want.
Ugh, all the time, especially in relationships. And it always leads to, like, fights and misunderstandings.
Yep, assumptions just breed more misunderstandings, and that can really sabotage our goals.
So if we shouldn't be assuming, what should we be doing instead?
Ask. Just ask questions, be direct about what you need. It might feel weird at first, but trust me, clear communication saves a lot of headaches in the long run.
That's so true. I'm definitely guilty of expecting my partner to be a mind reader. Got to work on that.
We all do it, but the more we practice, the easier it gets. And our relationships, way stronger.
Less mind reading, more honest conversations.
Hmm.
Love it. Okay, let's tackle the final agreement. Always do your best. Seems pretty simple, but I bet there's more to it than meets the eye.
You're right on the money. This one isn't about being perfect or pushing ourselves till we burn out. It's about recognizing that our best, well, it changes from day to day.
So some days my bust is going to be amazing, and other days it's just going to be showing up and, like, getting through it.
Exactly. The key is to put in the effort, focus and really try, but also, be kind to ourselves on those off days. Because consistent effort, even when it's tough, that's what leads to success.
I like that. Takes the pressure off a bit. Knowing that my best won't always look the same,
Hmm.
but consistently putting in the work, even when I don't feel like it, that's what matters.
That's the spirit. So before we get into the nitty-gritty of how to really use these agreements in our lives, let's pause for a second. What's resonating with you so far?
Honestly, I'm kind of blown away by how simple these agreements are, but also how profound. They seem so obvious, but I know I don't always live by them. It's like a wake-up call.
That's a great place to start. It's a reminder that this isn't about changing overnight. It's a journey, And the more we explore these agreements, the more we uncover those things that are holding us back. And then we can break free. Okay, so we've got those four agreements, right? This like framework for success. But how do we actually put them into practice? Ruiz talks about this Toltec path to freedom, which sounds kind of intense.
Yeah, it does. He even compares our, like, those limiting beliefs, the agreements that aren't working for us, he compares them to a parasite.
A parasite, yeah, it's a powerful image. Imagine it like clinging to you, feeding off all your, doubts and fears.
Ooh, that's creepy. So how do we get rid of it? What's the, like, Toltec parasite repellent?
Well, Ruiz says the first weapon is courage. We got to face our fears head on. Every fear we conquer is like cutting off one of the parasite's heads.
So, like, classic advice. Do one thing every day that scares you.
Exactly. What are your goals and what's stopping you? Fear of failure, fear of what people will think. That's the parasite whispering in your ear, trying to keep you small.
Yeah, makes sense. We're always scared we'll never, take risks and go after what we want.
Right. Now, the second weapon's a bit more subtle. It's about starving the parasite.
Starving it. How do we do that?
It feeds off negativity, right? Anger, jealousy, self-pity, all that stuff.
Absolutely.
So by learning to control our emotions, we cut off its food supply.
Oh, I see. It's like that mindfulness thing. Being aware of our emotions, but not letting them, like, totally control us.
You got it. It's not about ignoring our feelings, but about understanding them and then choosing how we respond. Instead of just, reacting impulsively, we take a breath and ask, is this helping me? Is this moving me toward my goals?
That's a good point. It's like using those negative emotions as information instead of letting them derail us.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got courage and emotional mastery. What's the third weapon in our arsenal?
This one's maybe the toughest, but it's also the most, transformative. Ruiz calls it the initiation of the dead.
Initiation of the dead. Okay, that sounds a little scary.
It's about symbolically, letting go of the old you, surrendering to change.
I'm not sure I follow.
Okay, imagine this. You're told you only have a week left to live. How would your priorities change? What would you stop worrying about? What would you finally do, if you had nothing to lose?
Wow, yeah. I'd probably quit my job, travel the world, eat all the ice cream. No, but seriously, I'd spend more time with family, tell people I love them, stop sweating the small stuff.
It's about embracing that mindset, but without the, terminal diagnosis, letting go of the old beliefs, the patterns that aren't working anymore, and being like reborn into this new way of being.
So it's not about actually dying, but about letting go of the parts of ourselves that are holding us back.
Exactly. Shedding that old skin and embracing, the unknown, trusting that something amazing is waiting on the other side. That's the ultimate success.
I love that, like a phoenix rising from the ashes. So we've got these three weapons, right? Facing fears, controlling emotions, and embracing change. And it sounds like a recipe for, well, not just success, but a good life.
And that's exactly what Ruiz is talking about. He believes that living by these four agreements can create, like, a heaven on earth.
Now, I know we're not talking about actual clouds and harps. What does this, like, heaven on earth actually look like?
Imagine waking up every day with a purpose, knowing you're worthy and capable of achieving, well, anything, going through your day with confidence, handling anything that comes your way with grace.
Instead of being driven by fear and insecurity, it's all about passion and inner peace.
Exactly. You're not a victim anymore. You're the creator of your own reality and your relationships. They're based on respect, open communication, real connection.
That sounds pretty amazing. But how do we get there? From where we are now to, this ideal state?
It's a journey. It starts with making those small, Everyday choices that are in line with the four agreements, being more aware of your thoughts, words, actions.
Hmm.
It's about challenging those old beliefs and like replacing them with something better.
So less autopilot, more intentional living.
Precisely. It's about choosing to live consciously with
Yeah.
intention. And as you practice these agreements, you'll start to notice a
A
shift
shift in what? Like, how will I know it's working?
in your energy, your relationships, just your whole experience of life.
Mm.
You'll attract more of what you want, less of what you don't. You'll handle challenges better and you'll feel more fulfilled, more joy in everything you do.
Okay, yeah. I'm definitely on board with all that. Seems way better than constantly fighting with that inner parasite. But I gotta admit, it still feels kind of, abstract.
Hmm,
Any practical tips? Like, how can I apply these agreements in my daily life?
sure. Remember, it's all about small changes done consistently. Try starting your day with an affirmation. Or next time you're caught up in some drama, take a pause. Ask yourself, am I taking this personally? Or is this about the other person's, stuff?
I like that. Small steps, consistent practice. It's like building a new habit.
Hmm.
But what about when we mess up? When we fall back into those old patterns? Ruiz mentions forgiveness, but that's a tough one, especially forgiving ourselves.
It is, and that's something we should definitely talk more about. Before we do that, let's, just recap what we've covered so far, and then we can really delve into that whole forgiveness thing.
Okay, so uh, we've explored those four agreements and the Toltec path to freedom. It's a lot to take in, but my biggest takeaway is that success. It's not just about like achievements and stuff. It's also about like inner peace,
Hmm.
aligning with who we really are.
Yeah, absolutely. It's about realizing that we have the power to, choose what we believe and create a life that's actually meaningful.
But I think a lot of people get stuck on that last part.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to forgiving themselves, like for past mistakes. You mentioned Ruiz sees forgiveness as like essential, but how do we actually do that?
Yeah, forgiveness, especially self-forgiveness, it's often the hardest part. It's so easy to get caught up in that guilt, the regret, just
Hmm.
replaying all those old should-haves and could-haves over and over.
Ugh, tell me about it. That inner critic can be so mean. Sometimes it feels like I'm carrying around this like heavy backpack full of past mistakes,
Yeah.
weighing me down.
I think we all have that backpack in some way. But the amazing thing about forgiveness is that it lets us finally put that burden down. It doesn't mean we're condoning our mistakes. It's about acknowledging them, learning, and then letting go of all that, negative energy.
So how do we actually do that? How do we forgive ourselves when those mistakes feel so like huge?
It starts with compassion. Imagine like a close friend comes to you and tells you about a mistake they made. Would you just yell at them, judge them, or would you try to be, understanding?
I would definitely try to be supportive, of course. We're often way harder on ourselves than we are on other people, huh?
Exactly. So try giving yourself that same kindness. Recognize the mistake, but then release the guilt. Remember, you were doing your best with what you knew at the time, right?
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. Instead of getting stuck in the past,
Mm.
we can focus on, right now or what we can do differently moving forward.
Exactly. Forgiveness isn't about forgetting, it's about changing how we relate to the past, reclaiming our power and choosing to, move on with a lighter heart.
And that lightness, that feeling of like being free, that's what really allows us to succeed, both internally and, out in the world. It's like clearing a path for all those goals and dreams to actually happen.
I love that. When we let go of the past, we open up space for new possibilities and that deeper sense of peace and fulfillment. Isn't that what it's all about?
Totally. So we've covered those four agreements, that Toltec path to freedom, and even like how to forgive ourselves. Yeah. What's the one thing you hope listeners take away from all of this?
You have the power to choose your beliefs, your thoughts, your actions. You're not defined by your past or your circumstances. You are a powerful creator. You can shape your reality and achieve anything you set your mind to.
So well said. And if you're feeling inspired to, explore these ideas further, definitely check out The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. It's a book that can really change your life, one agreement at a time.
And remember, it's a journey. Be patient with yourself, celebrate your progress, and don't underestimate the power of these, simple but profound agreements. They can truly transform your life and help you unlock your full potential.